We're here. It has happened. I can't frigging believe it. I'm devastated.
What?
You're not happy?
Disney has bought Fox. Okay? Basically, Disney owns all Marvel characters, probably except for Spider-Man, but still, they practically control that too. What are we
They
going
don't
to friggin'...
control that.
Are you serious?
They just have the licensing.
They got licenses and home. Yo, I'm trying to do an intro. Why are you cutting into the intro, bro? Look, I'm pissed. I can't believe it. I'm devastated. Disney owns all of Marvel now, except for Spider-Man. But they kind of control that. Dudes, what are we going to do? Smitterackins in the house. I'm here with PD and Cal, and we're ready to rock on this bad boy.
Hey.
Are we for it?
Cal, how's it going?
Petey.
Yeah.
Ah! What do you guys think about this madness?
Sounds good to me.
All in one company's hand? One company that controls
This is
everything.
This is all of Marvel in one company's hand. Like all of DC is in one company's hand. What you're making is a bigger argument that Disney has, like Winnie the Pooh, Mickey Mouse,
Star Wars.
Marvel,
Pixar.
Star Wars. That's
Pixar.
the bigger argument you're making. But all of Marvel being under one umbrella we've already seen how well they do because everything is under one umbrella. That's the right move for them. Now the other argument you're making, that's a different question altogether.
Well, I kind of disagree with that big time.
You think, what, based on what?
Because the fact is, at least Fox was able to come out there and do different things. They were able to test the waters. Marvel's it's a far more conservative company under Disney, and they're not going to do quite as many different things. There's going to be a certain amount
If
of
they're
movies.
conservative, they're going to do the same stuff that worked at the other companies.
It worked. No,
That's
they're
the
gonna
problem
I
I have
disagree
with the
because
X-Men. That is the problem, is that there's no reason for them, besides getting new actors, to not do Wolverine and the X-Men, and the backstory of the X-Men is Xavier and Magneto are friends. There's no reason for them not to continue doing that instead of doing the X-Men, the original X-Men first, or doing the new X-Men, but making it a group book and not be every movie has to have Magneto in it. So there's no reason for them not to do it because they've been successful with that. So everyone said they're going to fix the X-Men. There's no...
How do you fix something that's been successful?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm about to say that. Dark Phoenix was going to come out. It was going to be a hit, and now
gonna-
they've shelved it, basically. It doesn't look as though it's coming out. They keep pushing back the time.
Yeah.
It's supposed to come out in the summer. It's supposed to come out in the fall. Now it's like, it's still...
Has it already been filmed?
I believe it was filmed. They said they were doing
If it's
some
filmed, then
reshoots.
it's going to come out. That's just a matter of time. They're not going to waste. They're not going to waste all that. They're not going to waste that. It's one thing. It's one thing about getting the movie started. If it was in if they say it's been greenlit, it can still be. It can still be axed at that point. But if the film's done, they're going to put it out.
If it's not up to what they want or the direction they want to follow, they can do whatever they want. You know what I'm trying to say? They film many movies we see show up on Netflix that they didn't make the cut on.
No, they still have to pay those contracts.
It's already
different,
paid.
yeah.
That's sunk cost.
No,
this is a loss.
Going to having the Dark Phoenix go to Netflix and do whatever, even if it's successful there, that's not a win.
No, I'm not saying it's one. I'm just trying to give it. They spent $71 billion. The Dark Phoenix, how much is it? What, $150 million film? That's nothing for a company like Disney. They may do
So
it.
you're
They may
saying
not.
they could eat it?
They
and
can eat the cost.
Just do the Dark Phoenix again.
The way they think it should be done.
Oh my God, there's not.
No, you can't do that. Then you run into Superman Returns trouble, where they start tacking on budgets from films that didn't happen onto this one, saying you got to not only make up the money for this film, but for all the other films that didn't happen.
I'm not sure. I'm not saying they keep pushing it back. Either they're going to make the damn thing better or they're going to kill it. So I'm not sure what exactly they're going to do.
I don't think you can make it better. Look at what happened with Justice League. Okay,
it was better. It was better.
Look, that was the lowest grossing of all the DC films. Okay, you had the director who had to pull out. Unfortunately, he had the death in the family. They brought on they brought on Whedon. Whatever. They brought on Whedon. Okay, Whedon comes in. To finish the film, to make the changes that they want. And at the end of the day, even if it was a better film, even if this was a better received film, it is still the lowest grossing of all of them at the end of the day. So again, they might have been better off just saying, hey, look, just finish this dude's vision, let that implode, whatever, and then let's just go from there.
No,
I know, I totally disagree.
No, how could you wanted to keep all of that stuff with Superman being coming?
I don't think so.
You were just,
you know why?
That's
right. You know
you
why.
were just
feel the pain.
So no,
you,
gotta steal.
the kind of wrong you,
neck, man.
The kind of wrong you are right now is just criminal. That's an evil mastermind right here.
And I
that
think they did the
is
right
a
thing. But
little
the
too far.
problem here is that We all know what happened. People got burnt with BVS, and they're like, I'm not going to go out. And the same thing happened with Star Wars.
BVS.
Batman versus Superman.
No,
BVS.
they got burnt with Man of Steel. They got burnt with BVS.
No, BVS was
they got
far
burnt
bigger.
They got burnt with Suicide Squad.
Those made money. Suicide Squad, BVS made tons of money.
Being burnt doesn't mean you don't make money.
But the same thing goes where you're saying that they didn't do well. Look, there's the
So
lowest
since
score.
you weren't going to do well regardless, you should have just put out
We
Zack
didn't know.
Snyder's
They didn't
No.
know.
vision.
No. I totally disagree with that.
That is
Shockingly,
just-
I agree with PD.
That was James Coleman. That's just mean, man. That's just mean.
We know what you're trying to do. You know,
Now-
a whole revamp. They're gonna come
And
out
yet
with
to
a
Superman was criminal.
look. They're doing a new Man of Steel too, so it doesn't. So you'll get your redemption there.
When are they
Well,
doing that?
no.
That's what they keep talking about.
Because Henry Cavill and Christopher McQuarrie, they've been talking. There's a possibility. Now, depending on how well
That's the director of
Mission Impossible
which is
6.
doing very good, by the way.
Yes. So
You know,
depending
the best
on,
of the series.
but I mean, Christopher McQuarrie might not want to go maybe to another blockbuster, but they're friends. He wanted Cavill for Mission Impossible. He directly picked him. He's like,
Wait,
no.
why would you not want to do another blockbuster? I mean, what kind of idiocy is that?
No, he said that the thing is that he's learned how the business works because he won the Academy Award and then he struggled, and I think he sold the script to Alexander the Great. That kept him going through. But then he got did Valkyrie, like wrote Valkyrie, did a bunch of writing for all of Tom Cruise's movies, and then he directed the last 2 missions. So, I mean, he would do it. If it's a go, he's going to do it. So, and Henry Cavill wants him, and they want to still do it with Henry Cavill, it could happen.
Well, I don't
And
know.
he's
I mean,
a
Henry
solid.
Cavill doesn't run Disney. He doesn't have the same type of pull that some of the other actors have there. Okay?
He's a big part of Mission Impossible 6. So.
Yeah, I
Yes,
don't
he
think
is.
we're going to see a Man of Steel 2. That's just me.
But
I
I got the
understand.
2 people I want in there. He still looks like Superman, and Christopher McQuarrie is my guy. So.
I don't know. That's going to be a real heavy lift.
But let's go
Real
back.
heavy.
We've already talked about the X-Men. There's no helping just so you can have your Wolverine and Hulk fight. I don't want to see any freaking Wolverine and Hulk fight. Or
Wolverine-
any nonsense. A
I don't
Wolverine
want
and
to see it either.
Cap-
Because
I
the
wanna see
Incredible
it.
Hulk 181 is already out of reach. Can you see how much that book
Oh
would
my gosh!
skyrocket?
There you go. Now you're giving a good. That's a pro. That's a pro for it. All of you like yes, and the kids are like, the aspect
That
of
book right now is like a reasonable copy is at least $1,000. Okay, if you do a film, just the trailer alone of the Hulk and Wolverine doing anything at the end of the day will triple the value of that. Now and here's the scary thing about it, because it's Hulk 181, it may stick. It may never go back down.
it won't. It won't. I mean,
Wow.
it's not ever going down, but it's gonna go. That's crazy. So I mean.
But let's get back to the point. The
We're
point
back
is,
on the point.
The point, though, is that the problem when you have all these properties under one company. Like I said, Fox was pretty innovative with the budgets they had. Look at Deadpool. Deadpool made a tremendous amount of money. It was a hard R movie. It was something that Disney would never imagine doing because it didn't fit into their meal of Marvel. X-Men has done darker films. They've done some crazy stuff. Not X-Men. Fox has done some darker films in terms of the Marvel properties, Marvel shows. Legion, that would never have been made under a Marvel imprint. You know what I'm trying to say?
Damn
so
right. But they had to make those because they didn't have the other stuff. You think they would have made Legion if they could have had access to other characters?
no, but I'm saying you get a variety of different views, a different choice, different things. The same thing goes with.
Wait a second.
with
You're just
Superman.
saying you want like PG-13
I'm not saying I want
X-Men
PG. I want
properties?
I want to see different things.
from
you know what I'm trying to say?
so from Marvel Studios, you'd
Mar-
like to see different things like you're seeing.
Right, but you're
from
not going to
Fox.
see that because Marvel Studios, they're not going to change this formula. This formula has been
Yeah,
winning
just
since
put it on
before.
Netflix.
Well, it's going to be the Marvel channel or Hulu, whatever it is now, because they
Yeah,
own
whatever it
Hulu.
may be.
But I'm just saying.
It's
we're
going to
not
be
gonna
Hulu.
They basically control
Look,
Hulu now.
What do we get? We got the Marvel films, which are their own thing. Then you go to Netflix, you got a little bit more gritty.
That's not
And
going to
then
stay too long.
Then you go to Freeform, where you got the Lifetime movie in Cloak and Dagger.
Oh,
Okay.
God. All right.
So you got different stuff. You got different stuff at this point.
Well, the other thing is that Marvel Studios has done such a good job with the hierarchies of scientists in the Marvel Universe. I just worry when you get to Reed, are they going to bottom out and be like, oh, he's a nerd? Because once you go there, like, because what was it? The movies that they did, the first movies they did, was more like the 70s Fantastic Four that had some Reed, but Reed is he can't figure it out through the comic, and that's not Reed. Reed is much more the scientist of the 50s and 60s, like the Charlton Heston sort of like the astronaut that come and can start over the world with just 3 or 4 people. So you have to remember that this is the ultimate scientist, and you can't immediately go to, well, and that's the other thing. If the thing is in the Marvel Universe, and the Hulk is already shown to be the strongest one, the only way to give something different is decide that when they first meet, the thing has to knock out the Hulk. It has to happen.
No way.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
No
It has
way.
to happen, because what else? If
I don't disagree with you,
thing
I just
comes
don't-
in there and he just gets beat by the Hulk, like what's the point?
You gotta do you have to do what happened with the Hulk and Thanos, but you have to do that for the Thing. You have to all those great fights between the Thing and the Hulk
Yeah.
was not that the Thing, okay, was able to knock him out or anything, but the Thing was like just a really good fighter, really tough, and he was able to the Hulk outclassed him when it came to strength easily, but the Thing was always able to find some way to stay in the game. Okay, he'd pull up like a pipe, blast him with some water, smack him back over this way. He was able to prolong the fight, to the point where, anybody else would have been like, oh man, he's down. But he's a really good fighter, very resourceful, and he's tough at the end of the day. He doesn't necessarily have to be stronger than him, but he was just definitely tougher. That's what made those fights so engaging. Now, if you just come over here and knock him out at the end of the day.
No, I mean, I think you're thinking of, all right, I'm not working out the whole plot here.
I have.
But, but when you're deciding that, you also have to remember that the Thing came first, and the Hulk is a reaction to, let's do another Thing character. Let's do that as a solo. And it didn't catch until, as we said in one of our other things, it didn't catch till later where they redid it and figured it should be Bruce Banner and the struggle with becoming the Hulk. So that's the only thing, is just having something different instead of just doing another thing where you find out, like, I guess they did it with Thor, when Thor uses all of his energy and it looks like he's going to beat the Hulk, that sort of thing. But then also, you don't always have to have the fights in there too, because you could there's a graphic novel between Hulk and Thing where they're on another planet, and then at the end, the Hulk messes it up. And the Thing is, you could see the Thing is about to go kill him at the end. But I think Reed is more the problem, because you can get the Thing, you just have to design a thing that looks like, because every design they've done as far as features have been bad. None of them have really come to give us a feel.
Either do Art Adams' design or Jim Lee's design. Those are probably, I think, the most easiest. Those are the easiest to replicate at the end of the day.
I don't think, if you think about it, the approach of, like, what was it, Byrne saying a dried up riverbed, like getting that sort of, to get the plates, because every time they do it, they turn it into like cobblestones, and I don't know what they did in that last Fantastic Four. It was just like it looked like one of the guys Thor fought.
He looked like an orange turd.
He did.
That's
He
what they
did.
did.
He did.
Oh,
He did.
God.
Okay, that's
But,
right.
But the guy you're talking about, the
I
Rock
said
guy
it.
Thor fought in Ragnarok. That's what
No, I mean in the Fantastic Four.
With Michael B. Jordan.
No, well, yeah, you can say that too, but I mean,
He
like
didn't even have on the trunks, man. They had him walking around.
yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
No, but I'm saying you're talking about the character in Ragnarok, the Rock character.
like
He should
those.
look like
in,
that.
No. I'm saying that's what they sort of did for the Thing.
That's not what the thing's supposed to look
Yeah,
like.
they made him look like that character. But I think if you look at, in all the best way, it wouldn't be the Incredibles, but you have to have them have a lot of human moments in the story, and that's what you got to look at those books that Stanley and Jack Kirby did, and understand that it wasn't. There's shots of, what was it, like Alicia giving the Thing medicine, and you don't have to go, because the early books are very serious, and I think they should go very serious. But remember, they always still had human moments of the Thing when he first gets the costume and he has a helmet. He's like, I'm not wearing
But
this.
why did the Thing fail? I mean, at one point he was really popular, but then Hulk. I mean,
Thing
look
did
at Hulk.
not fail.
It
He's still
failed.
popular. A lot of guys still like him.
Because
But
they
not
want-
now.
no, because-
I don't think
Because who was it? Joe Sinnott said that he slowly turned into like Fozzie Bear, and it's
I can
given
see that.
it's
I can see
given
that.
it's credits given. They complained that Byrne said that, but Byrne said, and when he mentioned that Joe Sinnott said that he kind of became just a comedy, and he was a tragic figure. And every time you go to the tragedy, and people forget that Jack Kirby did a lot of the humor moments, but when it came to the tragedy, there's a point where I think like issue 80 or 81 or something like that, where the Thing is Ben Grimm is cured, and like he's walking around like worried about Alicia, and he's really worried, and he goes and who's it? Crystal sees him and kisses him on the mouth, and he's like, no, she's gonna love you. You're like, you're handsome, you're all that, and he's still worried. He goes to dinner with Alicia. Alicia gives him the cold shoulder, totally breaks his heart, and in there, and he's like, well, she touches his face. Oh, there's some rugged, handsome, and you see from this sort of them being like strangers at this table, he's like, oh, but it doesn't get you the way the thing did. And then when he turns in the thing, like, of course, she's hugged up against him, and then he walks off after it. It's like, but you're stuck as a thing now, and he walks off. It's a sad moment. That's like 80 issues in. He's done a ton of humor. He's done a ton of things. It's past the point when people remembered that thing had that issue, and he still remembered that this is a tragedy. I don't think he did any more tragic moments with the thing after that, but you had to get that first, because if you just cure him and he's just happy-go-lucky, then it becomes, you kind of lose, it became what the Hulk is, and you have to remember that this is a man trapped in there and he's struggling. He's a negative sort of person. You had to have that, and that's where a lot of humor comes from. Early on, you could see it sort of shift, having that negativity, where Reed coming with a plan. It's like, all right, what are you gonna get us killed this time? And he's like, man, I don't need that negativity right now. I'm trying to figure this out. So, and you also have to remember, I mean, Johnny's the easiest one, because it's like, they did it in the first 2 films, it worked. I mean, I didn't see Michael B. Jordan, but it's do a hothead, and the character, the effects with the Human Torch, and all 3 have been solid. So it's hard to mess that up. It's always tough to get a good Sue, because I think in the...
What about Sue?
Sue, you just have to. I mean, they always make her into science. I don't mind her becoming a scientist with Reed, but having it where
I do.
I don't. I mean,
you want her to be the socialite again?
I'm tired of the trophy where if you're somehow in a relationship with the hero or something, you need to somehow be on par with him. And for me, it just gets old at the end of the day.
I don't think
it's the CIA where everybody's hooking up with each other. It's like you can be a socialite. And he can be a scientist. It doesn't have to be that.
It's just a shorthand that they've done, and it's already stuff that they did with gratefully the Jim Lee version, which is the precursor to everything that's come after this. So I mean, they're gonna do that stuff. It's just having her be the strong support to the team, and then when Reed's gone at different points, like she take the mantle. That's all I really. If they're gonna do that, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's fine.
But make her. But
the scientist stuff, like no.
But when you can see there's such a long period between, Kirby leaving, and the only thing she did, I think, strong was there's a point right after Stan leaves, which I think Archie Goodwin wrote, where they've got the Overmind has got Reed. He's gone. He's like he can't get escaped, and like Sue goes to Dr. Doom and said, I need your help, and Doom was like, never, I would not do this. He said, the Doom I know, he had some pettiness, but I don't think he was a coward. And he's like, wait, Susan, I'm with you. And it was like having that same effect that she had on the Thing early on, and that's just like in a different way.
Submariner.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All she had to do was call him a coward.
I'm glad you brought in Dr. Doom. So, of course,
here you go. Here you go.
Naturally.
Here you go.
Don't do that nonsense that they do on The Flash, or we're the Flash, that type of stuff. Or Lois Lane has to somehow be on the alien planet with Superman. They're like, no. It's okay. They don't have to be there all the damn time.
No, sure. I want before you go to Doom. The thing is that everyone cries and moans about his wife and his sister being on the plane, and I think we're going to talk about it at some point. There's a thing. It was it's called Third Planet from the Sun. It's like a short story.
Third Rock from the Sun.
Third Rock from the Sun, right? So there's a short story that about these people trying to leave a planet that's going to explode, but if you're looking with the Twilight Zone, it's almost the Fantastic Four. Besides, there's a little bit of intrigue of people trying to escape, but this whole sneaking into the ship is a family, and it's like that dynamic is it's like a year before the Fantastic Four. So it's a motif that was in movies of families escaping or just traveling in a spaceship. But once we realized what space travel was going to be like, it wasn't going to be like getting into a car. They were like, oh, how can his girlfriend and his girlfriend's brother get into a plane and they get into a rocket ship and go into space and all these different dimensions and handle all this? And then you see the X-Men. How is this feral mutant Wolverine going to the Shire and this 13-year-old and this Russian farmer and this claustrophobic African goddess can deal with space travel and not the girlfriend and her brother? Like, it's the motif. They go on the ship. That's what I'm saying. I don't mind, but I know that they're going to immediately say they're all space people.
Oh,
that's
God.
what they're going to have. That's what they do.
Ugh.
I'm all for it because you can't have Wolverine going into space and he's cool with it, but he's supposed to be this feral person that's like, basically relearned how to be human after being in the wilderness. Now, I'll go up in a spaceship with no problem. I'll chill out in space. Not
Yeah,
like
but-
I'm losing my head. I can't take it. Take me back to Earth.
You have the whole thing with the audience where they want to see Wolverine everywhere. Wolverine has to be the lead. I mean,
There you go.
look at what they've done to friggin'
Can't
Cyclops,
can't
for God's
disagree
sakes.
with
They
you,
practically
but-
emasculated the man. You know what I'm trying to say? He was Jean Grey's love interest. Now practically it's, I'm not even going to mention his
White.
name anymore. You know what I'm trying to say? It's wrong.
Oh,
because
Wolverine.
I said don't mention his name
sorry,
anymore.
I messed up.
Because people are more popular with him. Cyclops has practically become bad. You know what I'm trying to say? Look at what happened
Oh.
on the Dark.
Sorry. I want you to not forget about Doom.
Yeah, so that's just what I'm saying. It's like Cyclops, one of the legendary figures in the X-Men, becomes
Well, they can fix that.
That's the problem.
Can they?
No, probably not.
I mean, he's not going back to Jean. He's not going back. I mean,
Not as long as you keep the X-Men as they are. No, that's not going to happen.
and
You
what he
have
did to
start-
X-Force, and then come on.
I think gonna be what's Charlton what's Clint Eastwood's son? What's his name?
Clint Eastwood Jr.
His son. No, he was a stuntman, but now he's acting. He was in the Fast and Furious, but he's in line to be the next Wolverine, and he just looks like, I don't know how tall Clint Eastwood is, but this is like a short, more handsome Clint Eastwood. Like like no one can be as handsome as what's the name?
Jackman?
Hugh Jackman when he was young. He's prettier than the women in the X-Men movies. Sorry to say, but
I can't say. I can't say.
Yeah, I can't say.
I never looked. All I know is that
Look
he's
at
too
those
damn
things.
tall to be
if
Wolverine.
I'm sleeping by the window.
He's too
I'm
damn
okay
tall.
in my manhood. Look at those movies. Believe me, don't leave me out on a limb. Sorry.
God damn, what everywhere.
So Doctor Doom, but no, that's a good point about Cyclops. They didn't do Cyclops right in the first three, and then these,
Ever.
yeah, never. And with the weird,
I mean, when they brought him back in the comics, when they brought back when they had the two teams, what was the two teams? Gold, was it?
not the comics, in
But
the
then
movies.
in the movies, definitely they screwed him. But I'm just saying, it started further back.
Ready Player One has a better visor
Yeah.
than any visor in any of the X-Men movies.
Cyclops again is one of these guys. Yeah, he has the optic power, but that was never the hook to the character. His hook was that he was the team leader, okay, and his characterization was excellent. Okay, whereas you go with someone else like, I mean, look, Wolverine without the abilities and such, he'd be dead. So the abilities are as much of a hook as it is to whatever his characterization is. With Cyclops, the powers are on a hook. Okay, so you have to get the characterization right. They didn't do that with him. But I mean,
But he's
look,
a hero. He's like the Captain America of the X-Men, or was
Yes,
the Captain America of the
regretfully,
X-Men.
that's
So
a
what
good
ends up
point.
happening? He
But
was
they
the good
didn't do-
guy.
They didn't do that. I
I
mean,
think-
they did not do this. The same reason why you get to Infinity War and Cap shows up and people start applauding.
Yes.
And this, and even the Vision, like, oh, thank God, it's Captain America. And it's like, Vision, aren't you like, why are you? You should be able to handle this, Vision. But Cap
Yes.
shows up and everybody knows everything is going to be cool. It's the same thing you're supposed to do with Cyclops. But again, the films are different. They saw, look at this. We got such a good reception from the whole, Wolverine. And then even when they did the first film, Wolverine is this guy that they pushed to the forefront. Okay, they were like, look, we got Hugh Jackman. We got the tall, guy over here. I'm pretty certain the girls are gonna love him. Let's make sure we get plenty of light on him. Okay, let's make sure we get plenty of light on him, and that was that.
And it worked.
Well, if
It
you
worked.
look at the X-Men comic, because people, I think I talked about it in the Byrne thing we did, is before Byrne came there, Wolverine was constantly in over his head. He was constantly leaping and looking, leaping before he looked. He'd just get into trouble, and then next thing you know, I think there's the first issue Byrne did. There's a little like Shire Guardian, and he's like, this little thing can't do anything. And he punches Wolverine into space. So basically, all of the early point before they figured out his powers regeneration was Cyclops worrying about Wolverine getting himself killed. more so than anyone. I think obviously Thunderbird, who obviously wound up, getting himself killed. That's why Cyclops is going in with the new X-Men constantly worried because they're so raw and he was, untrained, and they're learning how to become a team. And to the readers, it was like, wow, why is he being a jerk to Wolverine? As we're reading it back after years of not knowing that this team really didn't come together like the originals. The originals, when they said Cyclops was the leader, they're like, oh yeah, that's a good choice. It makes sense. Nobody complained. No one said, I should be the leader. There was no I in team. In the new X-Men, it took a while for them to get together. And you see Cyclops start to understand how to utilize Wolverine. They stopped fighting at some point.
But that was different because before that, you had a new team. Before you had Aurora, you had Wolverine. Wolverine was introduced to that team. And then the third team, when you had Cyclops come back, when the original team basically came back, and Cyclops is in charge of the whole.
Are you talking about he wasn't in charge. It was like Blue and Gold.
Yeah, Blue and Gold. And they still do this.
Then Chris Claremont was gone, and then they mixed it up however they wanted, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But how do you decide not to do more Wolverine stuff? All Marvel Studios is gonna do is like, let's do Avengers versus X-Men, and then I'm gonna go and jump off a building. Oh.
They're always gonna have Wolverine. That's the biggest problem right now. The studio, Hugh Jackman basically said he's not doing anymore, and they're like, hey, how can we get him into a cameo? How can we do this? And I guarantee you, whether or not it's Hugh Jackman, Wolverine will be in the next movie. I don't know how they're going to put him into. Probably the next Dark Phoenix. Probably there'll be a scene. I'm not sure.
So what we're all saying is we agree this is a good thing.
No, we're against the whole thing.
We're against it.
What about
believes that it's a good thing.
What about Doom? What about Doom being introduced?
Oh no! We'll shut him down.
I cut him off a couple times.
Dr. Doom.
Let him go.
One of the greatest villains ever in Marvel history.
And when he says villain, he means superhero.
What?
Exactly. He likes villains. Have you ever heard him talk about a superhero with any sort of glee? Look at that.
He gave Cyclops a moment. That's the first I've ever heard.
He matured Cyclops at the end.
And he likes Batman.
Like Wolverine.
It's not that I don't like Wolverine. It's just Wolverine clearly has some minor deficiencies relative to Cyclops. Cyclops is a leader. We digress. Dr. Doom. They got to get Dr. Doom right. I mean, there has to be the nemesis to Reed Richards. He has to be smart. He has to have his nation behind him.
He has to have his own movie.
Yeah. I'm in shock they said that. I was like, oh, yes.
We discussed this already. If you want to get Dr. Doom right, if you want Dr. Doom done correctly, he has to have his own film. Because Dr. Doom's origin is a film unto itself.
Yes.
It's a film unto itself at the end of the day.
What
you
he has
can't
to
squeeze him in.
I said, what he has to do to become Dr. Doom, how he grows, his takeover of Latveria.
It doesn't work when you try to squeeze him in, and he's like, oh, it's not the Fantastic Four. We were originally the Fantastic Five, okay? But then we all got caught in the cosmic rays, and I went evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, even though you can go to our old video and we were going at Mario for his idea.
I'm taking off the hot. The light is killing me.
You can introduce Reed and Ben within the Doom story.
Yes.
So
that's a good idea.
So you can
do it like you would do it like Godfather 2, where you have two stories running at the same time. One story is Doom's story. And you can even start off with the whole thing with Doom, and almost like the same way they started off with the X-Men with Magneto.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start that whole thing off. Then you go to present time, what's going on. And the more we understand about Doom's origin, the more we understand about what's going on right over here. And then eventually, they converge, and then you can just, end the story at that portion. That's the only way I think that's the better way to do it. It would make a longer film.
Pound that out, baby. I think
that's all around.
It would make a longer film. But in the same breath, it would also be a type of film that hasn't been done yet with comics. And then, of course, people will love it. They'll be like, oh, wow, we didn't know you could do this with comic books. We've been able to do this stuff since Superman in 1978. All you have to do is make the world that you're creating believable. People don't have to believe this. They don't have to believe this. They have to believe in the world that you create. You can do the same thing with Doom. But Doom that's a really big character. That's a really big villain. If you don't give him his own film in order to do it, then the only one thing I can say, you do do like the Omebian Versus type of film where you have, okay, we're going to show some of his story, then back here, just enough. Because there was no way. I mean, again, if you look at Godfather 2, Vito Corleone's origin of how he became Godfather, that's a film unto itself.
It is.
That's a film unto itself. Godfather 2 was 3 hours long. So you're looking at least 60, 70 minutes of the film that was about, him becoming the Don. No different with Dr. Doom. How does he become the Doctor?
But that doesn't seem like Marvel's thing. Marvel.
They could do like Superman the movie. They could have the early stuff with Kirby. They could do Torment and Triumph, Doctor Strange and Doom, where they visit Doom's mother and with Mephisto and Hell or whatever. Like, there's so much you could do in that first movie just to solidify him and then say this is the new Marvel universe. Because I mean, Thanos was almost a villain movie with the heroes around it. So I mean, they just went that extra step. It might be. You could say. I mean, if they had started it with the Gamora as a kid and introducing the Black Guard or Black Order, I think that it would have been. They could have just took the Avengers off the title and just stamped the Thanos, and people probably still would have went. They were like, the Avengers, Infinity, Thanos, and that be the trailer. So, I mean, there's options. They could start that way, but
they could do a TV show. They could always do a TV show. Probably the Doom TV show.
If they did a TV show and did it as
like
but having enough money, no, because when you're doing Breaking Bad, you're not doing they're doing effects, but you're not doing Marvel effects. They put all the money into it and did like an 8-part story. That would be something. So
well, most of them, look, the best medium for comic books is television, because then you get the time, the space to tell them. 2 hours is like, to be honest, 2 hours is like a really good issue.
Yeah.
Okay, like a double-sized issue of a comic, that's pretty much what you're looking at. And then I'll give it to Marvel that they've been able to, take enough of the story that needs to be there and that works, and keep the other elements that they have to do for film, and then go from it there. But television always works better. I mean, they're talking about doing another Watchmen, and making that for like Netflix or something. But of course,
HBO.
Yeah, or HBO.
HBO.
Yeah.
Doing that sort of thing. It'll probably work. If it's done right. It shouldn't have any issue. It'll probably be a lot better if done. It'll probably be a lot better than what we saw in terms of the film, because you would have more time to tell it. So, I mean, for a character like Doom, he just needs the time and space to do it. And you also have to have people who recognize that we're going to have a better character if we take the time and space to do it, and we don't limit it till we got to do this in the film. We could do it here and then introduce him that way. But I mean, the same way, because I don't think we're ever going to see any of the Netflix heroes in the Marvel film, at least not yet.
Right. Okay, but one thing the Netflix shows us on is we don't need 13 episodes to go that far.
Well, because they blew it on those 13 episodes, which couldn't like
filler. How do we get the money? 13 episodes.
10 episodes could do it. But one thing that would be great about
eight.
Okay, 8. But one thing that would work with a Doom show is that it doesn't have to be a heavy effects show. With Doom.
Doesn't.
You can save some of that. Just the way you have the Luke Cage and
I think setting up the mystical part, that's where the money would go into. And remembering,
but that's not every episode. That's what
I'm not saying that it's going to be every episode, but I'm saying setting that's going to be your effects. I mean, you also have. I mean, I don't think that him blowing up at the
they have to spend more money than they did on Iron Fist. In terms of the mystical stuff, not just two lights in the back and say, "Hey, it's a dragon."
Yeah.
So did you see
the trailer?
No, they have those. They gave him the mask they got from the con, and it looks horrible.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm talking with Superstar's not here. Hey, how's it going? He decided he's gonna take the day off. But I was speaking with him, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? He's like, that mask looks horrible. But he said it too. He said, you know what I hate? I hate when they say we can't do the stuff from the comics on the TV because it doesn't work. He's like, no, you can do it. You guys made this to, make a self-fulfilling prophecy. Confirmation bias. You made a horrible mask and say, see here, look, it looks terrible.
Thank you.
Everything
Thank you
looks
from
jacked.
on high. That's the part. If you don't get the quality designers to say, I want to hook that up and say, all right, every time you see a bad design, reject it until they give you a good one. It's like, all right, if you don't fix it, I'll get someone who can.
Yeah, I think they forget that the outfits in comics are not material. This is pretty much an outfit drawn on somebody's body. So they do it and they're like, oh, what? Like, no. That's what they came in with, like, okay, what can we can do stuff with texture, how do we hide these seams?
Yes.
What do we do in order to get this as like if guys were really running around in these outfits, what would they look like? And the first thing these guys went for was it would be spandex, but it never said they were in spandex inside of the comics. You know, we these guys were just running around. And whatever the
Well, it
outfits
looks
they
like
have.
spandex, though.
The closest you may have been able to
No.
the closest you may have been able to get that was Spider-Man. Captain America's costume was chainmail. Okay, from the waist up,
Yes.
what he had over there was chainmail. That was never produced inside of the television series either. So the whole idea is that you're supposed to make this look like you're supposed to make it look like as close as possible what it looks like from the comic, but also with the understanding that look, this is what it is. I could say this is made of any particular thing, but the bottom line, this is what it looks like because it's still showing like abdominals and stuff that you would never see through regular clothing. Anyway.
Well, if they put all of their time and energy on the hardest costume to do, which is Spider-Man, that has no folds in the current one, nothing crazy, no folds around the head, everything is perfect, and then they can't do anything else. Like if you can do Spider-Man, you can do basically anything.
Yep.
Like there's no reason why every time they go to these other, Scarlet Witch won't work. Look at this bad cosplay. Like put some time into it, and then you can get into it. And you don't have to go to just, all right, don't do the harder ones. You don't have to go to the Gypsy Perez version. It's like there's too much stuff. And every time, just look at the current Spider-Man they do there's a lot of digital stuff to it, so it looks like it's perfect. And then even we go to, Midtown. They had the Spider-Man costume. You look at it, it's like, this thing is perfect.
You're right. It's like, especially the cosplay and the costumes out there. There's a lot of good stuff out there that you can use as a template, instead of this stuff that you come out with.
Yeah, they won't do that though.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't they?
Because it's always the same stuff. They want to do it themselves. They look over here and they're like, oh, if I do this, somebody's gonna say I stole it from cosplayer A over here. So they go over there and they try to do their. It's the same thing with the stories. Okay, hey, why don't you just adapt this story from the comic and do that? It's a really good story. No. The most we may get is like a smattering of the whole thing, and they try to do their own stuff. But I think we've taken a nice detour off the path at this point.
We're gonna detour even further because that's the idea when you're doing Alien, right? And they had the story and the script, and they developed it, and they said, all right, and they developed that the alien would impregnate that, but then they like, what's the look? And they found an artist, and they're like, this is the look. So they added the designs that Ridley Scott and I guess there were other people, and they took the design for the monster from an artist and they paid them handsomely. Or if they have a cosplayer that got the look, they're costumers.
Yeah,
take them in, and then you don't even have to. You can buy off say, hey, what? Give them some money, some change. They don't need even that much.
No, they won't do that.
So,
They don't want to do it.
You just touched on a hard part for me because when you see it done right, and then you're like, oh, we can't do the thing. The thing is too hard.
Like every Starfire cosplayer out there.
Oh my gosh!
As
Don't even
opposed to
go
what they
there.
do on the Teen Titans.
Don't even
I
go
get
there.
it.
Don't even go there.
They should have stolen any of those outfits and just taken the lawsuit.
Cutie Pie Sensei.
All right, so we're good.
Well, in the end run, after all we've discussed, we've agreed that this merger was a bad idea. Once again,
Who said that?
we did.
No.
Nosotros.
No. No.
Okay.
You want to say it in French?
Yeah.
No.
I'll say-
No.
All right.
This is a good idea.
Rock, paper, scissors. Let's do it. Rock, paper, scissors.
Water.
Okay.
I win.
Odds even.
I win.
Odds
All right.
even. Say.
Spin
shoot.
rack out.
I win.